Okay, today's discussion will be a continuation of last day's discussion. We were talking about equivalent circuit of single phase induction motor. So next what we'll do the approximation of the equivalent circuit and try to derive our equation for SMT, slip at which maximum torque occurs, what is the maximum torque that is happening over here, and how it is dependent on what quantities, and make a comparison with three phase induction motor. Then we'll move on to the most important part, how starting is done of a single phase induction motor, because at starting there is no starting torque present over there, because there is no rotating magnetic field. So we'll see into methods which will develop rotating magnetic fields. So let's begin with our approximate equivalent circuit. So on the left hand side, if we are seeing the actual equivalent circuit which we had studied, it had the stator side R1 and JX1. Then the rotor side was divided into two parts, one because of the forward field and one because of the backward field. These two are connected in parallel, and we found out the equivalent impedance, then found out power, torque, etc. We had already found out. So this, from this equivalent circuit, we had found out our all the equations and derived. Now we'll make some approximation and make it try to make this equivalent circuit look similar to your equivalent circuit of a three-phase induction motor. Okay, so what is happening? This is the equivalent circuit during when motor is running. So under normal operation region, when it is at full load, the slip is very low, so it is around 5 to 10%. So if you calculate the backward field value, the backward part value, the backward field resistance, how will it be affected? So if you put 0.05 over here and do the calculations, you will get R2 by 2 into 2 minus S substituted as 5, you will get 3.9, and if you substitute as 10%, you will get R2 by 3.8. So it is more close to us 4. So we have taken an approximation that this backward field resistance is R2 by 4 under normal running condition. Okay, close to full load. Now, so this circuit gets modified. That's why the arrow is shown like this. This circuit gets modified like this. So xm by 2, R2 by 4, x2 by 2. All other quantities remaining same. Next, some modifications. What we'll do? Okay. Now, we had also this xm value. This xm value we had also classified this before. This xm value is very greater than this one. Okay, so the shunting effect of this will vanish because this is a parallel branch. If this impedance is greater, then when will the current flow? It will flow only through this path only. You remember the block rotor test, what we had done? We had eliminated this path and kept this path only. So that is what we are taking the assumption over here only, because this part is greater than this. If you do the impedance, then no current will flow through this path because this is a high impedance path. This is a low impedance path. We are thinking all the current to flow through this path because we are doing approximation. So we are thinking like that. So we can eliminate this xm by 2, and that's why the equivalent circuit becomes now this one. Now this part R1 X1 and R2 by 4 and X2 by 2 becomes in series, right? So next what we can draw is we can draw an equivalent circuit which has R1 plus R2 by 4, and that the total resistance of the circuit and means apart from this that it comes in series with your V1, and what will be the inductance or reactance that will come in series with V1? That will be X1 plus X2 by 2. So that should be our next conclusion from this diagram. So R1 plus R2 by 4, we have taken it as capital R1. Then X1 plus X2 by 2, we have taken it as capital X1. So this total can be combined and form a single resistance and a single inductance or a single reactance. So that is capital R1 and X1. From this supply V1, This is xm by 2. Remaining, what is there? This parallel branch. This is xm by 2. This is x2 by 2. This is r2 by 2s. This s changes. This becomes variable. So you remember this circuit. This circuit is similar to your equivalent circuit of a three-phase induction motor, except the values were different. This was x2, this was xm, this is r2 by, this is r2, but this was r2 by s. But this looks similar to our three-phase induction motor. Okay. So why we are doing this approximation? We are trying to bring this approximate circuit to look closer or look similar to your three-phase equivalent circuit, which looks like this. So we are making some approximation. So what we did after making those approximation, what we applied Thevenin's equivalent circuit, right? Between these two terminals A and B, we applied Thevenin's equivalent theorem. Now what is my load? This x2 by 2 and r2 by 2s. Okay, this part becomes the other part of the circuit. This after AB, we are opening this because we are applying Thevenin's theorem at this terminal AB. So what will Thevenin's theorem do? At first, you can calculate the impedance, whichever you want to like. You can calculate the impedance. You can calculate your VTH. So if you calculate the impedance at this path point between A and B, so you look in this direction. This part is open, so I am cancelling it out. All sources will be either short or open circuited. Since it is voltage source, I'll short circuit this. And if I look from this direction, this branch and this branch comes in parallel. So what I should write? R1 plus J X1 parallel. So into J Xm by 2 divided by this term plus this term. Z1 Z2 by Z1 plus Z. That will be the ZTH or ZE, whatever you consider. And ZE will consist of what? RE plus JX. RE plus JX. So that is written over here. So after solving, we'll get Thevenin's equivalent impedance that can be broken up into
RE আর XE এগুলো আলাদাভাবে ক্যালকুলেট করতে হবে তো?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, যেরকম আগে একদম থ্রি ফেজ ইন্ডাকশন মোটর
ফার্স্ট থ্রি ফেজটাতে
ক্যালকুলেট করেছিলাম, সেম প্রসিডিউর we have to go for calculation. So we can calculate your RE and JXE by this two parallel. So separate, you will get an angle A at an angle theta, convert it into C plus JB. So C will be RE and B will be X. So you can go for this conversion and do the calculation. Then next we have done the calculation, but just now for using this figure I am showing. Then what we'll do, we have removed this one, we'll get our voltage across this terminal, right? VTH or VE. So what will be the voltage V? This will be the voltage across this terminal A and B. So across this terminal, which impedance is connected? JXM by 2. So JXM by 2. Voltage divider rule, total voltage V1 by sum of the impedances. So R1 plus J taken common X1 plus Xm by 2. So V1 into Jxm by 2 divided by R1 plus Jxm by 2 will give you this VE. This VE. And then we can add this 2 at the last, at this terminals A and B. Right, at this terminal A and B, we can add this 2 and get our Thevenin's equivalent circuit. VTH, ZTH, ZL. You can find the current through here, that is IL. So that is what we have done. How we have done R1 plus JX1 just now told R1 plus JX1 into JXM by 2 plus this one divided by total. Then V1 into JXM by 2 divided by total impedance. Okay, again we are making some approximation. We will neglect this R1 in the denominator. Okay, so if you neglect this R1 in the denominator, so your this J part and J part cancels out for your both cases. Okay, and you can separate this real and imaginary part. First part will be R1 into Xm by 2. So R1 into Xm by 2 divided by, oh sorry, this J part doesn't cancel out because this is plus or, oh, this is cancelled out. So this J cancels out anyhow. So R1 into Xm by 2 divided by X1 plus Xm by 2. What will be the J part? X1 into Xm by 2 divided by X1 plus Xm by 2. And if you calculate this, this is removed already, J part cancels. So V1 Xm by 2, V1 into Xm by 2 by X1 plus Xm by 2. So these are the values of V and Re plus Xc. Remember this calculations, if at all in your question it is stated that you can neglect this value R1. What is R1? You should understand what is R1. That comes from this R1 plus R2 by 4. Some terms if neglected, if told in question, then only go for approximation. Otherwise, these are the normal values of your ZD and V. Then if you look at this circuit, what we did next thing was applied our maximum power transfer theorem. Why we applied our maximum power transfer theorem? Because we need to calculate slip at which maximum power is transferred to the load. So how will you explain your maximum power transfer theorem? So your ZTH, right, should be equal to your load resistance, right? Means RTH should be equal to RL. Thevenin's equivalent resistance should be equal to your load resistance. So what is my load at maximum torque occurs? So this becomes R2 by twice SMT. So R2 by twice SMT. Okay, so what is the total impedance of this path? Re plus JXC plus X2. This path remains this one. Okay, so what will do the square root Re square plus Xc square plus X2 by 2 whole square. Then you can calculate your SMT likewise. Then I am leaving you to the procedure of calculating TEM. Okay, I've just written the difference over here. I am leaving you the calculation with TEM and find out how this SMT will affect over there. Just follow the same procedure as we had done earlier and calculate TEM. This is your homework. So calculate your TEM. Next, what I have done over here is shown you some differences. In the next slide, also some differences are there. So over here, first, if you write the SMT over here, you will see that SMT is almost similar to this equation. There is a X term over here, there is a Xc and X2 term over here. Magnitude will obviously differ because Re, Xc all are different. We are studying the dependency on your R2. SMT, you see, it is both single phase induction motor and three phase induction motor. It will be dependent on your R2. But what change is there in your induction motor, your TEM? If you recall your three phase induction motor, I had given a quiz question also. Many of you have done correctly. Very good. That your maximum torque was independent of your R2. So your maximum torque, whatever you are getting of three phase induction motor, was independent of your R2. If you change the resistance also, this peak was remaining constant. But you will see as you go on increasing the resistance, the maximum torque goes on decreasing. So it's a difference between a single phase induction motor and a three phase induction motor. Your maximum torque goes on decreasing with change in your R2. And what are the other differences? These are all constructional differences. You can go through it. If the motor is of same speed and same stator and rotor dimension, the rotor core losses will be more because there is a backward rotating field created. And because of the double frequency current, the rotor ohmic loss will be more. Why I am saying double frequency current? Because you have seen that SB was equal to 2 minus S, right? So if S equal to 0, then this came out to be 2. What will be the frequency, rotor frequency twice of f, so double frequency. If s equal to 0, sb will be 2. What will be the rotor frequency? 2 of f, because the rotor frequency fr is s into fs. So what is s now? sb, that is 2. So 2f, so double frequency current. So if the frequency increases, your rotor ohmic loss will also increase. So slip is increasing. So slip is increasing. So your rotor frequency, so your copper loss will also increase. Now over here, please go through the other differences. Okay, that is up to you. This is all constructional differences, same power ratings and all. More frame size is required. But one thing I would like to point out over here. Okay, where because of the presence of the auxiliary winding. Okay, because of another winding has to be present over here. Okay, we are having a single phase supply, we need to convert it into two phase, otherwise rotating magnetic field will not be generated. So we need that auxiliary winding. So because of that auxiliary winding we have to make, it increases somewhat a little bit more cost to the machine. And it also increases if I am going for same power. A three-phase machine will easily produce the same power. Yeah, I'm producing 14 kilowatt, suppose at the output. A three-phase machine can be easily produced at 14 kilowatt because the voltage current rating are very high. But for the same power rating, if you are generating a 14 kilowatt for a single phase machine, that means you need more windings, more frame size. In order to support those more windings, you have to increase the structure of the machine also, right? So you have, that will increase the cost of the machine. So with increase in frame size and the increase in the windings will increase the cost of the machine. But generally this single phase induction motor are wide scale produced, because apart from industrial application, all major application in home, household, everywhere induction motor is used. So this single phase induction motor are large scale produced. So that large scale production compensates the cost comparison to your three phase induction motor. So if one three phase induction motor is produced, there are 10 single phase induction motors are produced. So because of that large scale production, its cost is somewhat reduced. So that are the points, we just go through it along with this 2 points, 8 and 9. Okay, so we'll next jump into the most important part of our single phase induction motor, is that starting of single phase induction motor. Now if I am having a supply positive negative, that is the AC supply, I have a terminal from here, I am connected to the winding. If current flows in the direction, I am supposing the flux is in that direction, there is a unidirectional flux flowing and that is pulsating in nature. No problem, because you are supplying a sine wave, that will be sine wave in nature. But this one single sine wave is not capable of producing the rotating magnetic field. And as discussed in our previous lecture, we had shown that our starting torque is 0 for induction motor. So we had seen the starting torque is 0. So at this point it is 0. Even with double field revolving theory, what we had shown the starting torque was 0. The TF at TB, TF minus TB is equal to your torque. So TF minus TB was equal to 0 at starting. If you recall your fact, I'll just go to the previous slide and lecture and show you this one, not this one. I think on 5th we had done it. Open the PDF. So we had seen that TF, if we break one single pulsating flux into two rotating flux differently, okay, we had seen two flux to be two fields to be produced by the two fluxes. One single flux was broken into two. That for each flux torque was produced. So torque was produced, one was TFTB, but this magnitude was equal at starting. So my net torque was at starting also was 0. So using one single phase supply, you couldn't have produced a rotating magnetic field. That is obviously what is required for producing your starting torque, because we had seen in three-phase induction motor, if there is a presence of rotating magnetic field, then only starting torque is produced. So that's why we are splitting the phase, single phase, into two phase using the two windings. That is one through main winding, one through auxiliary winding. Okay, if you recall your facts previously, I think August lecture, maybe second
তো
lecture, we
কিন্তু
had done.
ওখানে তো ওটাও লেখা ছিল এই যে
বলো বলো বলো। হ্যাঁ,
ইন্টারনাল টর্ক দিই তাহলে সেইটা সিনক্রোনাস স্পিডের থেকে কম স্পিডে রোটেট করবে মানে স্টার্টিং এ,
কোনটা কোনটা?
তো ওটা দিয়েও তো ঘোরানো যাবে না।
আরেকবার বল, আরেকবার বলো, বুঝতে পারলাম না, আরেকবার বলো।
বলছি ওখানে তো ওই ডাবল ফিল্ড থিওরিতে তো ওটা যে বলা ছিল যে এক্সটার্নাল টর্ক দিয়েও তো আমি ওটা রোটেট করাতে পারি যদি চাই
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
স্টার্টিং
হ্যাঁ,
এ।
একদম 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 একদম। ওইটা
এটা
ওটা সব
সিনক্রোনাস
জায়গায়
স্পিডের
লেখা আছে।
থেকে কম স্পিডে ঘুরবে যেটা।
হুম হুম, ওর জন্য এক্সটার্নাল টর্কটা দিতে পারো। মানে এবার দেখো, ইউ আর গিভিং আ সিঙ্গেল ফেজ সাপ্লাই, ঠিক আছে, একটা ফ্যান ধরো, একটা সিঙ্গেল ফেজ সাপ্লাই দিলে তাহলে টর্ক জিরো, স্টার্টিং টর্ক জিরো, দেন ইউ হ্যাভ টু প্রোভাইড আ এক্সটার্নাল টর্ক। এবার তুমি ইউ টেক এ এক্সাম্পল অফ আ ফ্যান ইন আ ট্রেন, you switch on the supply, fan is not rotating, so always what we have to do, we have to use a pen and rotate that blade, then only it will rotate. Okay, তাহলে সব সময় তো it is not possible that if I give a supply and the motor is not rotating and I come give an external torque to it. বুঝতে পারলে এবার? So that's why what we are doing is we are splitting the phase from start only. We are creating a rotating magnetic field from start. ওর জন্য এটা রোটেট। এবারে দেখো এইখানে পড়েছিলাম হাউ টু জেনারেট আ রোটেটিং ম্যাগনেটিক ফিল্ড। We need to have a three-phase system or two-phase system. This was the second lecture. So now what we are doing is we are generating a two-phase system from a single phase. See, because it was a three-phase induction motor and three-phase is all readily available, we can get three-phase supply readily available, so there is no need of taking single phase and splitting into three parts. Okay, and if you take single phase and splitting into three parts, that also I told you that there will be some problems with the voltages, because in three phase there is a high voltage over here, but in single phase we have 220 volt. I am taking a motor which operates at 440 volt and I am giving a single phase supply which is 220 volt and splitting that 220 into three phases. Obviously it will not work. Means it will work at a low voltage. Torque is directly proportional to voltage square, so that much torque will not develop. Maybe that much starting torque which would have been developed for 440 volt will not develop for 220 volt. That's why I think Saket had asked that question. So that's why the single phase couldn't have been split into your three phase motor, means three phase, and given to a three phase induction motor. Okay, that's the reason. And I'll close this one. So we'll go into this description now. So that's why my target is now to not provide that external torque separately, because if I give a single phase supply, there is no starting torque, but I can give an external torque. That is a very that is right. You can give an external torque. You can use you can rotate it with a pen, like I give an example, the fans in the train stop somewhat and we rotate it with a pen and it starts rotating. So that is the external torque we can provide over there. But why we will do all necessarily? If our fan that in our home the fan is running on at with a single phase induction motor, so you give a switch, you stand on your bed or what, you use a fan or a stick or anything, you rotate it. So every time you have to do this function. Why we will do it every time? It is not necessary to do it every time. So what we will do, we will create a rotating field. How will we create a rotating field? Instead of using a single phase supply, we'll tap this winding. Okay, from here we'll give it another supply away, such that this field over here is produced in this direction, suppose I'm saying, and this field will be 90 degree to each other. So obviously there will be a resultant. So suppose this is for some A coil, this is for some B coil. So obviously this will have some resultant, and it will have a rotating angle. Maybe it is a clockwise or anti-clockwise. I am leaving this up to you how to create this rotating magnetic field calculation, because we had done single three phase. We had shown you that how rotating magnetic field is created, what is the resultant value, at which speed this rotates. All this calculation is done. Now I am giving a home task. Take it as a two-phase system. Find the resultant. Find this angle theta. Okay, that is up to you. I am giving you a simple example. If you take one at an angle 0 and one at an angle minus 90, or one at an angle plus 90, you will get one at an angle 45 or one at an angle minus 45. So it will rotate with magnitude, have a constant magnitude 1, circle will have a constant magnitude 1, and the angle will be theta minus your 45 degree, means pi by 4. You just go and calculate, or maybe pi by 2. You just go and calculate this one. Okay, which angle it rotates. Same as you just follow my lecture number 3 of 3-phase induction motor. But over here only 2 phases. Now, what are the methods that will be employed to remove that external, means we don't want to give that external torque always. So what are the methods that will be applied to generate that, means torque at starting only? So what are the methods that should be used? So we'll follow. What are the methods we'll discuss now? Today we'll discuss only 2 methods of one only. Means this split phase is divided into many parts. So we'll divide the under split phase 2 methods, and then slowly we'll go into this. So what are the methods? Is split phase starting. Just now we have started. Means use the word split phase. We are using a single phase supply, and we are dividing it into 2 phase. Keeping in mind that how 2 phases there, between 2 phases there should be angle 90 degree. And if you are generating 3 phase, obviously angle between the 3 phases should be 360. That is the necessity condition. So split phase means that. Shaded pole starting, we will go to this shaded pole repulsion motor, reluctance motor. What all we are doing, we are changing the air gap. So there is a uniformity of air gap over here. So we'll just change the air gap over here. So reluctance in this path changes over here, air gap length changes. So you can calculate the reluctance. So reluctance changes, flux changes, MMF changes. So if there is a change in distribution of MMF, then this automatically from sinusoidal, it will change over here. It will be high over here. Maybe it will be low over here. So automatically the distribution of MMF or field will change. So that is applied over here under shaded pole starting, under reluctance motor starting, under repulsion motor starting. So that consideration is taken over here by changing the reluctance and thereby changing the MMF of the field, and starting is brought about. Now what are the main reasons that why which starting methods we will choose is depending upon the torque speed characteristics, what we need the torque speed characteristics of the load. Duty cycle means which motor has to be operated for a long time, which motor has to be operated for very small time, and then rest of the time off. That is duty cycle. And about the starting and running line current, it also some currents, means some starting may involve very high starting current, and some means some methods will have low starting current, and according to that all the methods will be classified. So these points can come as MCQ. Okay, what are the how selection of methods are brought about? Okay, this point can come as MCQ. Now we'll start with split phase starting, and the first method is resistor split phase starting. So what we are doing in split phase starting, the first statement says that, see, we have 2 stator windings over here. One is called the main or running winding, and other is called the auxiliary winding. And keeping in mind that the magnetic axis should be displaced by 90 degrees electrical in space. So what we are doing, from the same supply, we are taking one winding over here and another winding, such that the magnetic winding, that means the flux is produced in this direction over here, and flux over here is produced in this direction. See, current will flow in this winding in this direction, so flux in this direction only. Current over here in this winding will flow in this direction, so flux in this direction only. So we are splitting the single phase into two phases such that the magnetic axis is 90 degree away. So we'll get a resultant, we'll get a theta, so that will rotate. Maybe in clockwise, maybe in anti-clockwise, whatever the direction of rotation is. These questions will come as theoretical questions like this. Explain the operation of resistor split phase motor. Then you have to explain what I am saying to you. Now, the first important condition is that we have to split the two phases by using two separate windings. One is called auxiliary winding. A denotes your auxiliary, M denotes your main. Okay. Auxiliary winding is also called as your starting winding. Main winding is also called as your running winding. Why? Because it is made means while in normal running condition, your main winding is always there in the circuit. There's a switch over here, centrifugal switch. If you open this switch, this auxiliary winding will be off. So why this auxiliary winding is connected in the circuit? Just now I have told you, in order to produce this rotating magnetic field, to split the phase into two, to create single phase into two phase and create a rotating magnetic field. So why rotating magnetic field is needed? Because to create a starting torque. So if I get a starting torque and my motor starts rotating, after the speed slowly increase to certain value, maybe close towards your synchronous speed, then I can remove this, because this main function is, this auxiliary winding function is to create the starting torque only. So that's why this auxiliary winding is also called as starting winding, because it is required only during starting. After certain while, it can be removed by opening the switch. And the main winding is directly connected to the supply, so this always remains in the circuit. So that is why it is called as the running winding. Now, first point. So in order to produce the starting torque, two windings are created, that is shifted in time phase, that should be present in shifted in time phase, as it should be present in a three-phase induction motor. Instead of three-phase, we are using two-phase over here. Now, how the design is made, very important, how these windings are designed. The main winding is generally taken a thick wire. Okay, so if you are taking a thick wire, obviously it will have a low resistance, you know this, and it will have a high leakage reactance. And the auxiliary winding which we are taking over here is, we are taking a thin wire and a low leakage reactance. Can anybody tell me why this reason? Next page reason is given. Anybody can try with why a main winding is having a thick wire and this auxiliary winding is having a thin wire with a high resistance. Okay. So if you see, thin wire, auxiliary winding is a thin wire with high resistance. Why thin wire with high resistance? Because at the starting we know it draws high starting current, right? So since auxiliary winding is to handle all the currents and torque at the starting, so this has to be thin wire. And at normal operation, the rated current only flows. So why to take a high resistive wire over here? We'll take a low resistance wire in the main winding. That is the reason. So the wire in the auxiliary is permissible. Thin wire is permissible, as the winding in the circuit only remains during the start and is cut off. While for the main winding, it is a thick wire, as it remains permanently in the circuit. We have to design the main winding resistance accordingly such that it handle the rated current. If the rated current is 4
তাহলে অক্সিলারি ওয়াইন্ডিংটা স্টার্টিং এর পর বন্ধ করে দেওয়া হচ্ছে,
বন্ধ করে দেওয়া হচ্ছে, just to create that split in phase, just to create a rotating magnetic field.
স্টার্টিং টর্কটা হচ্ছে দিয়ে বন্ধ হয়ে যাচ্ছে।
হ্যাঁ, মানে বন্ধ হয়ে যাচ্ছে না, স্টার্টিং টর্কটা পাওয়ার পর একটু নরমাল অপারেশনে পৌঁছে যাওয়ার পর বন্ধ করে দিচ্ছে, ঠিক আছে? তারপর ধরো এটা অফ করে
ফ্লাক্স দিয়ে চলছে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ বলো আরেকবার।
তারপর বলছি যে সিঙ্গেল ম্যাগনেটিক ফ্লাক্সটা তৈরি হচ্ছে সেইটা দিয়েই রোটেট করছে।
হ্যাঁ তারপর রোটেট হয়ে যাচ্ছে। তারপর তো এই ক্যারেক্টারিস্টিক্সটা স্টার্টিং এই প্রবলেম হচ্ছিল জিরো থেকে, তারপর তো
হুম,
সিমিলার, মানে এটা জিরোতে যাচ্ছিল, এটা
হ্যাঁ।
জিরোতে। তুমি থ্রি ফেজটা যদি দেখো, এই স্টার্টিং এই টর্ক ছিল, তারপরটা সিমিলার ছিল, মানে এইটুকুনি পোর্শন পেয়ে গেলে তারপর এত অব্দি মোটামুটি ধরো নর্মাল পৌঁছে যাবে, তারপর তো সিমিলার, তারপর আমি ওটাকে
আমার
সরিয়ে
অবশ্যই
দিলেও কোনো
ওই
অসুবিধা নেই।
স্টার্টিংটার জন্য অক্সিলারিটা লাগছে।
একদম একদম, we need for starting the auxiliary winding. না আচ্ছা, now the leakage we had also stated which winding has, now higher leakage reactance is of main winding and lower leakage reactance is for your auxiliary winding. So that higher leakage reactance is determined by the inductance value over here. So if more is the inductance, the current will lag more. So that's why, since your auxiliary winding, main winding having higher leakage reactance, okay, so what will be the main winding current? Im will lag more. So from your voltage taken as reference, because it is a parallel circuit, this is a parallel circuit. See, from one single voltage, two windings are given. This is a parallel circuit. Achha, I didn't tell you about this circuit. This is similar circuit to this one. Okay, if your question is asked, you can draw this or this one. Either one can be drawn. Okay, main winding consists of resistance, inductance, auxiliary winding. And where is the centrifugal switch connected? With this auxiliary winding. With this auxiliary winding. So that's why with this auxiliary winding, parallelly connected to the V1. So in a parallel circuit, you know, voltage should be taken as reference. So voltage is taken as reference. Which current will lag more? IA. IA is lagging more. Im will lag less. Sorry. Im will lag more because it has high leakage reactance. So Im, and this will lag more, less by this. Angle between them, you can consider it as alpha, beta, whatever you want to consider. This angle generally for your angle for your resistor split phase motor is of the range of 30 to 40 degree. Okay, so this angle is generally of 30 to 40 degree, and you know torque is directly proportional to Ia, Ib, sin beta. Sorry, Ia, Im, the two currents and the angle between them. Ia, Im, sin beta. Since this angle is now, since this beta angle is of the range of 30 to 40 degree, okay, so maximum torque at starting cannot be obtained. মানে আমি ধরো maximum starting torque, how can it be obtained? If this don't give attendance, no need to give attendance. How to get this maximum torque at starting? This beta should be equal to 90 degree, right? We can get a starting torque, okay, but that will not be the maximum value. That can be made maximum if this angle alpha can be made 90 degree. Okay, so this is what I want to tell to you. Now from here you can see that if Ia reaches maximum, means along comes in phase with this one, that means it becomes maximum first, then Im becomes maximum. Okay, now what we will do, now for this, suppose the rotation is in clockwise direction. Okay, for suppose the rotation is in the clockwise direction. Now how will you rotate or make the rotation opposite? Just simple thing, what you do in three phase, we just alter any of the two phases. So over here what we'll do, we'll just take any one winding and make the connection just opposite. So you see this, from this centrifugal switch it was connected to negative, from this point it was connected to positive, right? So over here what we have done, centrifugal switch connected to positive, this connected negative, so current flow direction becomes opposite, so obviously the rotation changes now in this direction. Previously was clockwise, it becomes anti-clockwise. So this is the point which is written over here. how to change your direction of rotation. You can interchange any of the terminals either of auxiliary or main. You can change this main and auxiliary terminals also, keeping this as same. Don't change both the terminals, because in DC motor, you know, if you change both field and armature terminals at the same time, it will rotate in the same direction. So if you change the both the terminals at the same time, it will rotate in the clockwise direction. So any one terminal intercept two terminal either of the auxiliary or main one. So take care of that. Now what happens over here, this auxiliary winding is no need of requirement after the main operation starts. So as it reaches around 70 to 80% of the synchronous speed, more close to a synchronous speed, this switch is turned off. So now the winding is means the motor, this rotor operates on this phi m only. The field produced by this phi m, it rotates by that only. What are the applications? Fans, blowers, pumps, refrigerator, all household applications or office applications. The fans which you get, small fans that are created. Now you'll see some fans are there, fancy fans are there. Those all are operated from your induction motor. And what are the power range is around 10 to 200 watt. Now this torque slip characteristics. Achha, when asked question about how to explain in your resistor split phase motor, figure 6 or figure 7 should be there in your copy. Figure 8 should be there in your copy. This is not required. If asked, if speed is changed, then draw this. And figure 9 should be present. If you draw figure 7 also, it is very good. If you don't remember figure 7, then it's okay, no problem. But figure 6, figure 8, figure 9 should be present. Now how we are drawing this torque slip characteristic? If only main winding was present, what would be starting torque? 0. If main and auxiliary is present, starting torque we are getting, because rotating magnetic field is produced. Now, at starting, what is happening? Main and winding is, okay, I'll just remove this. This is not visible. Okay, this is visible. Okay. So this is because of main winding, the torque slip characteristics. I am explaining for the first one, next ones you can understand. And this one is green color for this one. Okay. If main and auxiliary winding is present. Now, I'm just showing you, highlighting the points which will follow. At starting, both main winding and auxiliary winding will be there. So red line will not be followed. So what we are following, the green line. As soon as it reaches 70 to 80%, that means around 80% I am considering, you can consider 70% accordingly, no problem. Around 80% as it reaches. So this green line is continued up to 80%. Then this green line shifts to which point? This red line. So now this green line one second. Now this green, so green line shifts to this red line. So this point will drop from this point to this point, then follow this red line. Understood? These are the two characteristics. Dotted line I am showing. like this. So what should be my graph? This should follow up to this, the main and auxiliary winding. Then as soon as this cuts off, auxiliary winding is cut off, it will come above to this curve, to this lower dotted line, and will follow this dotted line. Okay, so curve will go like this, fall like this, follow this dotted line, follow. So it will go this like this, drop on this, then follow this line. So that's why this line is made bold over there. So you should make a practice what? Draw all the figures as dotted lines. Draw both the figures as dotted lines. Then you make it bold. Make this bold, drop this, make this bold. Okay, this is how you should draw your characters. And last is capacitor split phase mode. So we had seen we are getting a torque, but we were not getting its maximum value because beta was ranging from 30 to 40 degrees. Now same procedure is done. What we will do, we will use a capacitor in the auxiliary winding. What will a capacitor do? It will make the phase lead. So it will try to make those angle between the auxiliary and main winding close to as 90 degree. Means it will make the angle lead. You will see in the later when we draw the phasor diagram, you will see it will increase the gap between the two and make the auxiliary current lead this voltage, this current IA, auxiliary current IA lead this current IM and try to make that beta close to 90 degrees, so that torque directly proportional to IA, IB sine beta, that is 1, that it becomes 1. So torque becomes directly proportional to not IA, IB, IM. So IA, IM becomes maximum. Okay, so same procedure will follow. So we will have, since we are studying split phase, we need 2 phases, that means 2 windings. But since we are trying to make the starting torque maximum, we will use a capacitor in series with this auxiliary winding. Okay, so what it will do, and there is a centrifugal switch over there, it will cut this auxiliary winding as soon as 70 to 80% of the synchronous speed is reached. Now what it will do, you see, if you draw a voltage like this, IM will be like this lagging and IA will be leading. So previously IA was over here, right? If you look in the previous diagram, where was our IA? IA is over here, right? Now IA will lead, IA will go in this direction. The angle ta badlo ki komlo? The angle is increasing. This alpha over here, which we have taken beta in the next figure, is increasing. So that beta or alpha is closing towards 90 degree. So we are trying to make this starting torque maximum, close towards maximum. Okay. So that is the use of capacitor. That's why in a fan we use a capacitor to increase that starting torque. Okay, you go through these statements over here, why beta is given, you can do. Now, as you go on increasing, now how will you get this angle beta? So XC should be increased, right? As XC will increase, your capacitor value will also increase. It will go on increasing. So you are taking a large size capacitor. Means if it is a 10 microfarad capacitor, or if you are using a 470 microfarad capacitor, obviously the more small the capacitor is, the size becomes larger. So more smaller your capacitor, your size becomes larger. So in order to bring your beta close towards 90 degree, so you have to increase the size of the capacitor more. So that will increase the cost of the setup. So a compromise is made that starting torque maximum is not obtained. Beta is close towards 90 degree, means and also a less costly capacitor is used. So we are not making the circuit too costly, and we are trying to compensate this starting torque, which was more close towards 2, we will make the starting torque more close towards 3, suppose. So we are increasing the starting torque somewhat over here, and also we are not increasing the cost of the machine. So a compromise should be made between that. So that's why it is done. And besides, where is the starting capacitor connected? In the auxiliary winding. It is present only for a very short time. So it is not very essential to make the circuit costly by using a costly capacitor, because this capacitor was only present to create the starting torque. It doesn't remain in the circuit completely, so it is not necessary to use a costly capacitor. So generally what happens, AC electrolytic capacitors which are more economical, they are used, but it has a little bit disadvantage if you are using this type of motor in application where it is turned on and off very too frequently. That means its duty cycle is very high. So those capacitors can burn out. Electrolytic capacitors can burn out. They get damaged. So now you see the starting torque is increased. You compare the previous diagram, it is starting above 3. So now you see the starting torque, it is below 2. So what we are doing is now we are starting torque is increased over here. That is the main advantage. Power rating you can understand from here, you just go through it. All these points should be present in your copy when you are writing the description. Generally for a 100 watt, if you are using a 100 watt motor, if you design the capacitor, it is ranged up 20 to 30 microfarad. And if you are using a 750 watt to 800 watt motor, then its range is 60 to 100 microfarad. What are applications? All normal application, refrigeration, compressors, air conditioning, everywhere. So you see over here again same thing. If it is main winding used, so starting torque is 0. If main auxiliary winding is used, starting torque is this much high. So at starting it will follow this curve. Then at this point, as it reaches 70 to 80% of your synchronous speed, the centrifugal switch is turned off. It falls to the main winding torque slip characteristics and follows that characteristics only. So same type of torque slip characteristics, except starting torque is increased over here. So these are the two types we had discussed now. We have 4 different types of split phase induction motor. Then we can go for shaded pole repulsion motor, starting, reluctance starting. Okay, I am thinking we will complete single phase induction motor before the puja vacations only, because I'll have 2 classes next Wednesday or next Monday. After that, I don't think I'll have any classes. So within 2 classes, I think I can complete it. Let's see what will happen. Just go through these applications and why we are using auxiliary winding and all. You just go through this slide and get to know it.